Welcome, everyone. 大家好,大家好. Welcome to everyone tuning in from Vancouver and to all of our friends from around the world. We're thrilled to bring you today's event, Chinese Lunar New Year 101 with Bob Sung, brought to you by the Chinatown Storytelling Center. My name is April Liu, Liu Shiyuan, or Lao Siyun in Cantonese, and I'm on the Storytelling Center programming team, and I'll be your host today. We're extremely grateful to be holding this event on the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. Now, we came up with the idea for this event because we have so many friends and family who are curious about Lunar New Year traditions, including many first, second, and third generation Chinese Canadians who grew up celebrating the New Year, probably all around the world, but who might have lost touch with some of these traditions and their deeper cultural or symbolic significance. So we decided to approach the wonderful Bob Sung for some help to guide us in a 101 intro course on Lunar New Year basics. However, we quickly discovered that there's so many traditions, literally countless, depending on the region you're from, which generation you grew up in, where you moved throughout your life. And of course, there's Lunar New Year traditions all across Asia. So just for today, we've asked Bob to present some of his own memories, just a snapshot of Chinese New Year traditions that he experienced growing up in Chinatown. Now, for everyone viewing at home, I'd like to just make a recommendation for the best viewing option. If you select in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, the view button, and select side-by-side gallery, that'll allow you to see all the content, both me and Bob and the share screen. So once again, that's in the upper right-hand corner, the view drop down and select side-by-side gallery. Wonderful. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Chinatown Storytelling Center. We opened in November of last year, and I'd like to give you a little preview of the space in a 1-minute video and a greeting from April Liu, one of the visionary leaders behind the making of the center.
My name is April Liu. Welcome to the Chinatown Storytelling Center. I'm really excited to show you around. Come on in.
The Chinatown Storytelling Center is the first permanent space of its kind in Canada, with programming, exhibits, and interactive kiosks dedicated to sharing the fascinating stories about the past, present, future, and living heritage of Vancouver's Chinatown. With story contributions from Chinese Canadians of all ages, social backgrounds, and immigration histories, the Chinatown Storytelling Center celebrates the powerful resilience of the Chinese Canadian journey. It is a collection of the neighborhood's cultural history and an inclusive space for new ideas and dialogues to be shared. Storytelling ensures the sacrifices made by previous generations are honored and continue to inspire us. The Chinatown Storytelling Center is a community building project of the Vancouver Chinatown Foundation, a registered charity founded in 2011, dedicated to promoting the well-being of those most in need while preserving the irreplaceable heritage of Chinatown.
Thank you so much for joining me. We hope to see you soon at the Chinatown Storytelling Center.
I hope that gets you excited to come in for a visit. Now I'd like to ask Bob to turn on his camera so I can introduce him. Hi, Bob. I'd like to introduce our featured speaker today. Robert Sung, also known as Bob Sung, is the owner of Robert Sung Tours in Vancouver, BC, where he leads popular walking tours such as a walk around Chinatown and a walk around Granville Island. The tours highlight the culinary and cultural elements of these historic districts. As a proud third-generation Chinese Canadian, Bob's culinary background is firmly rooted in his family's 70-year involvement in the food and hospitality industry in BC. He is a member of the Chinese Canadian Historical Society of BC and a current member of the Vancouver Chinatown Legacy Stewardship Group. Bob has led tours for numerous university and culinary groups and appeared on major networks such as the NBC's Today Show, National Geographic Travel Channel, and the Discovery Channel. Before I pass it over to Bob, I'd like to ask everyone to send any questions or comments you might have in the Q&A box. We will get to these questions at the end. We'll have a session where we can hear from everyone. We'll also be sharing heritage recipes with everyone, so keep an eye on your email inbox for those. This live program is being recorded and may be accessed at a later time. All right, Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe start out with a memory of Chinese New Year in Chinatown.
Well, thank you, April. Sorry, welcome. Welcome to Chinese Lunar New Year 101. As April has mentioned, I conduct culinary and cultural walking tours of Chinatown. These tours educate and entertain from a culinary and cultural perspective. The main reason, however, is to proudly showcase the rich Chinese and Chinese Canadian culture and traditions that Chinatown represent. I have a childhood memory of Chinese New Year's with my father. In the 60s, Dad took me down to Chinatown to buy some provisions on New Year's Eve day for the New Year's Eve dinner. So we go down to Lake Hugh Poultry for a freshly killed and defeathered chicken. We go to Hong Kong Cafe and we go for their apple and egg custard tarts. We go to then we go to Wolfat Bakery for those massive but very delicious almond cookies. And then a fun place is going to Sgsmång, and that's where I can get my stash of many packets of Double Happiness firecrackers. Just getting ready for that. And finally, we go to Fong Lei Barbecue, to which we get all the roasted meats, the ducks, everything. As Dad and I are walking down Pender Street, this elderly gentleman comes up to us and goes, "Gung hei fat choi." And then my dad says, "Gung hei fat choi." He looks at me and prompts me. I say, "Gung hei fat choi, Skszok." Now, Skszok is a term for endearment for a good family friend. So he looks at me, I say, "Gung hei fat choi, Skszok." And then he pats me on my head and goes in pidgin English, "Good boy la, good boy la." And then he gives me a red package. Okay. As we keep on walking down, there's a number of elderly gentlemen that do the same thing to me. And so I asked Dad, I said, "How come I got so many uncles?" He said, "Well, they're not really your blood uncles. They are really single gentlemen that have remained in Canada for a variety of reasons, and they're far away from their families. So Chinese Canadian children have become adopted sons and daughters, nieces and nephews." So that's my memory. The Chinese Lunar Year is now upon us, and under these precarious times, it's the best time to bring out the old and bring in the new. There are 12, the lunar calendar has 12 animal signs, and that is the rat, the ox, the tiger, the rabbit, the dragon, the snake, the horse, the goat, and the monkey. And then it's followed by the rooster, the dog, and then the pig. Now, folklore has it that Lord Buddha invited all the animals in the world to come and visit him. And these were the 12 animals that first came they promptly came to visit him. So to honor the animals, Lord Buddha gave them their own individual astrological sign. So this is the year of the tiger. And New Year starts on Tuesday, February the 1st. Now, some of the characteristics of the tiger is loyalty, ambition, courageous, benevolence. Next frame. Before Lunar New Year, we things like cleaning, decorating, and renewing the home. So a week or before Chinese New Year's, have a thorough cleaning of the house. It's really spick and span, making sure that everything stale and old is left. And after all the cleaning, then it's the hanging up of the red lanterns and also the red decorations that provide positive statements that have positive connotation to it.
Just like all the decorations we have behind us, right, Bob?
Exactly, exactly. Sort of like if you take a look on the left-hand side, there's two children looking towards each other, and child is more or less like having abundance for the next year. Children always represent abundance. So.
And it's also good to settle our old debts, right? That's part of getting out the old and bringing in the new.
Settling the old debts, and above all, for a whole lot of people, buying new clothing, preferably red. It's really important to have cleaning the house, setting up the lanterns, the couplets, paying all your debts, and then buying new clothes. So it's called a fresh start.
Nice, nice.
Next.
New Year's Eve dinner.
New Year's Eve dinner. Now, this is quite a treat. Now, New Year's Eve dinner is a time for the families to reunite. And the banquet consists of meat, fish, and vegetables. The menu would consist of, let's say, a minimum of 8 courses. And that's because 8 is baht, but baht is also wealth. So we have a minimum of 8 courses, which represents savory dishes for reality, sweet and sour for balance, fish for abundance, noodles for longevity, rice for fertility, and oranges for gold. So that's the meal in itself. I like to mention something. What I'm doing, my family, my brother Stuart and my sister Dee Dee and I, what we decided upon is to order food from the same restaurant in Chinatown. And we have 4 or 5 dishes, and we'll order it. We'll have 3 orders. We'll take it back home, okay? And then we'll put our laptops at the end of the table, and we can have our dinner virtually. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna give it a try. Yeah. Now, New Year's Eve dinner, like I said again, fish is equated with abundance. So that's why it's always important to have fish, or you. On the right-hand side, there's a couplet that really says abundance year after year. So it has something to do with Nian Yao Yu, which means abundance year after year.
That's right, Bob, because it's always the association with the sound, right? If it's a lucky sounding word, then it's good for New Year's, right?
Well, you're right. It's also part of, like communicating in Chinese is pretty much metaphorical and tonal. And I'll talk about the tonal later on, okay? Yeah. Now, this is the traditional New Year's Eve treats. This is the chonghap, Chinese candy box. And what they do, they have different candies, if you can notice, and they have different things like on the right-hand side, you have candied lotus fruit.
You brought some.
I did bring some. I like to share with everybody, but I can't somehow. We have the candy lotus root. We have the sweet melon candy. Gold coins. It's important to have gold coins because it contains chocolate, but it has a really positive connotation to have gold in your life. And watermelon seeds. I can bring it out here. Can I bring it out? Anyway, watermelon seeds for fertility. I'm not really good.
Now we can see it. Yeah, hold
Can
it
you
up
see it?
right
Just
to
that
the
one
camera.
little one? Okay, I'll bring a few more out. How's that? Okay.
How do you eat those, Bob?
Very carefully.
You need strong
Actually,
teeth, right?
I just munch them. It gets in your teeth, but I really think it's really great tasting. Okay. So the chonghap, it's really important Chinese New Year's. So if people visit you, you can offer these candies as a gesture of goodwill.
Amazing. Did you bring anything else to show us?
Oh yeah, did I show a lot of things here? What I did is also I brought in, this is the red pack. Can everybody see it? It's a red package.
Oh yeah, the lacy.
Yeah, the
red.
lacy envelope. I keep on saying package, but it's lacy envelope. And it's red for the sake of red, and it's gold for gold. And there's a little description about it, but actually these are given to young children and single men and women. And for me, right around this time, December and January were quite the bountiful time for me for red envelopes because my birthday is in January. So I had Christmas, I had Gregorian New Year's, and I had my birthday, then the Lunar New Year. So I got all these red packages, and it really saved up a lot of money to buy all these char siu baos and custard tarts for the rest of the year.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. And also, we have something called the pomelo or
Wow.
the Sātīnyāo. Okay.
That
Now
looks huge.
it is huge. Actually, it's really great tasting. It's part of the citrus family and has a really large rind and a very small fruit. But each segments of the Sātīnyāo or the pomelo have the segments, the wedges have really big juice buds. So when you bite into a wedge, it's sort of like a burst of juice, sweet, sour juice in your mouth. The pomelo also symbolizes family and purity.
So it's not a grapefruit. That's a pomelo.
Pomelo,
A different
but
kind of fruit.
yeah, but it's part of the citrus family, April.
I see.
Okay. So
Amazing.
New Year's Eve. Now, after the meal, New Year's Eve meal, usually it's common to light firecrackers and have and also light fireworks up. And usually around 12 midnight, 12 to 12:30. One of the reasons, the folkloric reasons, is that at New Year's Eve, there was a beast called Nian. Now, I'm third generation. My pronunciation may be a bit off, but the Nian beast. And what the Nian beast did was at New Year's Eve would go into all the different, into the country to eat all sleeping children. So to counter that, a lot of the people, what they did is that they found out that the beast did not like the color red and they didn't like loud noise. So what they did is that they put a lot of color red into the area, but it also they brought lanterns because they were afraid of the beast was afraid of the color red, but also they had loud noises. And usually, traditionally, it used to be bamboo cracking, crackling, and that is the precursor for the firecrackers to scare the beast off, so they don't capture the children to eat them, the sleeping children to eat. Now, another thing too is that families would give their children coins to play with so they can sleep, they can stay up all night, which would prevent the beast from eating them. And so that's why, because of the red in the coins, usually the coins were wrapped up in red paper and then given to the children. And it's more or less like there's one thought that is the precursor for giving out the red envelope. Fascinating.
It's an amazing story.
Yeah. Making a visit on Lunar New Year's Day. Okay. Cantonese, it's called Bai Nian. And basically on the first day, you visit your family, you bring them gifts, cookies, sweets. Also, you wish them the 5 expressions of happiness, which would be loyalty, health, wealth, doing good deeds, and living a ripe old age. So everything's positive, all the positive connotations. Now, yeah, bad luck taboos for the New Year's Day. So I'm just going to list them out. No breaking objects. You don't want to, you want to separate your family, starting with not having much luck. No crying. What's the sense in crying? Just keep on maintaining oneself. No taking medicine. Okay, well, just to make sure that we're healthy for the rest of the year. That means I can't take my Valium tomorrow on New Year's Day. So anyway, no lending or borrowing money, affecting life's the community. No washing of hair, washing away the wealth. Scissors, cutting off relationships, not really important. And then no sweeping, just sweeping all the good luck. You don't want to do that. You want to keep the luck within that day. And also eating porridge, and that's porridge is causing poverty. So these are some of the things indirectly to be mindful of. Vegetarian first day. Now on the left-hand side, you'll see the Buddha's delight. Now normally The first day is somewhat Buddhist in nature, and it's usually all vegetables. You can see all the Shanghai bok choy, the fujuk, the shiitake mushroom, the carrots, the fat choy. There's wood ear fungus. Usually it's, well, my father told me that it's giving the animals a rest, but basically it's called lohong jai. Lohong is referring to the Buddhist sages, and jai is vegetarian food. Okay. On the right-hand side is braised dried oyster and hair moss. Now, this is a nice braised dish. The oysters are dry. They have to be rehydrated before preparing, but oysters is whole sea, but also another tonality is that whole sea is also good business. And then the hair moss is basically, they call fat choy, but fat is vegetable, choy, fat is hair, choy is vegetable. But another tonality is that fat choy is part of the New Year's greeting, gung hei fat choy. So this is ho si fat choy, or fat choy ho si, which means make fortune, do good business.
What is the hair moss?
Pardon me?
What
Hair
is the
moss
hair moss?
is a fungus, or a fungus from more or less like the arid areas. It feels like
Wow.
when it's dry, they dry, it feels like a Brillo pad. And when they rehydrate it, it goes very fine, hair-like, nice sweet item, ingredient.
Amazing. I'll have to try that.
Okay. So the first day of New Year's was the vegetarian. The second day was becoming
day.
carnivorous again. The third day is what they call argumentative red mouth day. And this, try to imagine that if you can't say anything negative for the first and second days, you know, I'd be sorely tempted to say something really negative on the third day. So that's my cue to shut my mouth. And then also not visit people, because I may have the propensity to just yell and scream. And I can't do that. It's New Year's. You have to be good to everybody.
It's actually very hard not to say anything negative at all, right? For 2 whole days.
Oh, I couldn't do it. April, I couldn't do it. Okay, so that means for me, I equate the third day of the Lunar New Year. The third day of the New Year is just to, Bob, shut your mouth. Okay. Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah. Next slide.
Mhm.
Okay. Now the fourth day is a day where you just maintain all the taboos and act accordingly. But the fifth day is like to reopen business. And that's basically the day where one breaks all the taboos, which indicates the end of Chinese New Year's holiday. And that's where businesses restart and also life restarts. In some regions in China, it may vary as to when they may celebrate this in varying ways. And sometimes in different regions in China, they may, instead of the fifth day, they may open on the fourth day or the sixth day. Okay. Next frame, please. The traditional lucky foods. Now, okay, now I just want to give you a caveat that my tones are not all that great, but I'll try my best. And I have a little story about that later on. On the left-hand side are gaoji, or dumplings. Now, they can either be pork or shrimp or whatever, but traditionally, usually pork and vegetable. And basically what people do is actually they steam it, or else they can deep fry it. In this case here, it looks like it's steamed. Now, these dumplings represent little parcels of gold. And traditionally, they should always be arranged in a straight line. Okay. On the right-hand side are spring rolls, what they call chungyun. And basically that symbolizes gold bars. Well, it's pretty obvious. You can see it looks like a gold bar anyway. So on the left is Ninggo, New Year rice cake. And go is cake, but go is referring to higher aspirations. That's why cake is really important. Ninggo is basically glutinous rice flour with brown sugar in it, steamed. And then people, they would have a nice sweet, and then later on it'd be steamed and very glutinous. They would slice it up later on, and then they would dip the pieces in egg, and then they would fry it. I'm getting hungry now. Huh. So on the right-hand side is the sweet rice balls. They call that tongyun, and tongyun represents family. Now, if you can see that, that's a nice rice flour with a black sesame. It looks like black sesame seed paste. Okay, and that's usually done. It represents family and unity. Next frame, please. Now, longevity noodles. It's always important, especially on New Year's Day and thereafter, is to eat long noodles. Okay, it means longevity, and longevity is a big aspect of the Chinese culture. So that's why I strongly urge you to, that's why it's appropriate to slurp your noodles in China, because please don't ever cut your noodles, because you're cutting off the longevity, and you don't want to do that. April? Now,
I was just saying, it's so lovely to be able to slurp your noodles. Usually you only do that when you're alone. But
oh no, if you go back to China, all the restaurants, you hear nothing but slurp, 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 If you did that in the Western world, I mean, it's so rude, okay? So here is the poached white cut chicken, bakjiamgai. And basically it is, in Chinese custom, when it comes to bakjiamgai, it is poached from head to feet, indicating the completeness of life. So that's why, and then after you poach it, and then it is presented, if you have a family altar, you present that to the altar and to give reference and let the ancestors know that this is what we still have a good family tie. And then after the ceremony in the home altar, then one goes back and chops it up in bite-sized pieces. The chicken is somewhat yellow, in some cases different, especially I noticed down in southern China that the poaching liquid has a little bit of like a teaspoon of turmeric, which causes the skin to go nice bright yellow. Oh, I'm hungry. Go ahead.
So good.
Next
so
frame.
Bob, you offered the whole chicken to the altar, then it's okay to cut it up and eat it.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Got it.
Okay. So we have tangerines here, gum, and tangerines are also representative of gold, because gum is oranges, but gum is gold. Okay, so it's really important to have oranges. Usually, they usually, you can actually serve this, the navels or the Valencias, but usually the Chinese tangerines are usually like Satsuma mandarins, which have easy to peel, then have definitive wedges to it. Okay. On the right-hand side, once again, is the pomelo or the satinyao. Okay, so once again, it is part of the citrus family. It has a nice, very musky, sweet taste to it, and it has a large rind. And like I said, again, the segments are really juicy, so it's actually a treat. One wedge is actually usually a very nice treat. Okay, once again, it represents family and purity. Okay, next frame, please. Pomegranate. Pomegranate, if you can tell, pomegranate, Skszwx, it really is a fruit with a lot of seeds. So some people believe it's a symbol of fertility. I frankly like pomegranates, but it's for me, it's so cumbersome to eat, and my hands get all red and my clothing get messy. So I love pomegranates, but I seldom eat it. Okay. On the right-hand side is rambutan. And rambutan is a tropical fruit which has a red egg and a lot of hair-like fibers on the exterior of the egg. And that symbolizes luck. Next frame.
I heard that the rambutan is good luck for balding people because it's the hair fruit. Is that true?
Well, I don't know about that, April, but I'd rather not describe that if you don't mind. Okay. On the left-hand side, sesame balls, what they call jindui. And basically, this is glutinous rice flour, and to which it's sometimes they either put red bean paste or black sesame paste, or even nothing, and they roll it into a ball. Okay, and then what they would do is that they would roll the ball in sesame, and then they deep fry it and to look like an orange. So that has the gold connotation to it. On the right-hand side are the these are the dumplings which look like gold ingots. So once again, it's pertaining to gold. Next frame. And this is the Jing fortune cupcake. And basically this is rising. What it is that it's glutinous rice flour with yeast and some sugar, some brown sugar, and it's a steamed cake to which these cakes rise up, and it has a piece of fortune. And on the right-hand side is almond cookies, and almond cookies are very tasty, but it's also a symbol of happiness.
So many Chinese desserts are steamed, right, Bob? Is there a reason for that?
Steamed? I think basically it's the most easiest of all techniques to prepare food, steaming. Like
you could just put it in the rice cooker.
Well, no, April, come on. You know, they don't do it like that. I mean, usually steaming fish is steaming with the water, vaporing and steaming up the food. Same thing with the steamed cake too.
Looks delicious. I'm really getting hungry now. I don't know about
Yeah,
you
so
guys.
am I. So am I. Yeah. Oh,
Not yet. Not yet.
yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget to tell us your tonality story, Bob.
Oh, thanks for prompting me there, April. Now, as a young teenager, early adult, I wanted to practice my Cantonese. I didn't go to Chinese school, but I wanted to practice my Cantonese. So I got to tell you, the term for waiter is pho gay. Pho, and you say pho gay is a waiter, pho gai is turkey. Gai si chow mein is chicken chow mein. Gai si chow mein is chicken feces with noodles. And sunji hai is garlic crab. Sunji hai is shoes. So I've been telling this story forever and a day. So when I got to the restaurant, you know, I went in and I tried to practice my Cantonese serving. So I said to the waiter, "Hey, turkey, I want some chicken feces with noodles and garlic fried shoes." So everybody was laughing around my table. The server looks to me and goes, in his clipped pidgin English, he goes, "Ha ha, you funny, you born here." And that would really accentuate my embarrassment. But, you know, life is trial and error, you know, just learn from my mistakes. Kind of fun. Still got fed that day too. So that's my story, April.
There's so many tones in Cantonese.
Oh.
I think like 11 or 12. I'm not even sure how many.
I don't know. I just know I got to be careful. So.
Amazing. How did we learn more, Bob? And we're getting some questions on where to buy these foods. And is this part of your tour? Are you going to take us to go eat Chinatown?
Well, like I said, again, my tour educates and entertains from a culinary and cultural perspective. So indeed, I go into describing all the vegetables, all the different ingredients, all the spices. So more or less, like I said, again, this is Chinese Lunar New Year 101, to give people a primer about what the ingredients and what the dishes and what the symbolic, you know, reasons stand for. So yes, yeah.
Amazing. Well, I have just a few more questions for you, Bob, and then we'll take it to the audience questions.
Sure.
My first question is, what should I bring as a gift when visiting people for the Lunar New Year? Should I bring flowers? Should I bring food?
I think the most important one would be food and fruit. Please refrain, or red packages, depending on the circumstance and the people that you're meeting. Please refrain from giving cut flowers. Cut flowers are only used from the bridging of winter to spring. That's why New Year's is called Spring Festival, to brighten up the winter. So they would use a lot of cut flowers. And cut flowers are also only used for funerary applications. So that's why it has a funerary inference. So refrain from giving cut flowers. Basically,
any colors I should avoid, or any other objects I should avoid?
I was leading to that because of the funerary color, black and white, because black and white are colors of death in the Chinese culture. So refrain from, the cut flowers and also using any other colors like that. And
oranges are good though, right? I see there's a
me?
picture of oranges here. Oranges are a really good gift, right? And
oranges are a really good gift because you wish gold upon your host and hostess or all your relatives or friends. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, my next question is, can you tell us a little bit more your suggestions on presenting the red envelopes? How much money to put in? When do I give it?
Well, like I said before, red packages are used usually for Chinese New Year's, but like I said again, I had it for my Christmas, for Gregorian New Year's, my birthday and Lunar New Year. So to me, it's for any special occasion, but normally for New Year's Eve. And it has to be, when you're giving denominations, it has to be in multiples of 8, never 4, for obvious reasons. Number 4 is equated with death. Number 8 is equated with prosperity. So let's see what else with the red package.
I hand it with both hands, right? I think I remember you telling us that.
Out of paying respect. So what happens is that I hand it to you with both hands and people receive it with both hands. It's more or less like a respect. Can you reach it? Can you get it, April? Okay.
I'm trying to.
Okay. A little bit difficulty there, sorry. But it's also out of respect, because respect and face plays an important part in the Chinese culture.
And should I open it when I get one?
Well, April, the etiquette is that when you get one from somebody, you don't open it in front of that person, because, because of the circumstance, because of the person's background, they may give you $5 as opposed to $100. So you do not open it, because out of respect and for the other person to save face, what they call min. It's really important for the people to save face in the culture. Yeah.
Wonderful. These are all really important details to remember.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Why are there so many lion and dragon dances for the New Year?
Well, the lion is, the animal is called Mao Si, and that's lion, and the dragon is called Mao Long. And the dragon, the lion, has characteristics of superiority, being solid, being strength, and the lion and the dragon has the characteristics of power and excellence. So what happens? These are very fortuitous mythological animals to protect the community, and it's quite interesting because they usually do it for festive occasions for both the dragon and the lion. But if you can go to the next frame, there's a picture of a lion dancing in front of a new store. The merchant usually hangs some lettuce, because the sound of lettuce sounds like wealth. So when the lion goes up and eats the lettuce, and then he spits out the rest of the lettuce, and that's like spitting out the wealth, sharing it to everybody around in the community. So that's why lions are very especially to bless the opening of a new store, but also giving blessings for the merchant to have continued luck for the year. There.
Did you have dragon and lion dancing when you were young in Chinatown? Did you see it as a kid in the streets?
I saw it as a kid, but because I was raised more Western than anything else, I didn't understand why. But gradually throughout the years and years, I understood why and the significance, and that brought a little bit more texture and meaning for me. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom with us.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Oh, there's another picture of the lions there. Wow. Incredible. It must be really strong to be able to do that. It sounds very acrobatic.
There's a society here in Vancouver, China called Hanseng, and one of their major purpose is to teach individuals the art of dragon or lion dancing. And it's really specialized, yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, let's take some questions from the audience. I'll read them to you, Bob, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna open them up here. Okay, first one we got here. Why do people refrain from washing their hair on New Year's Day? Is it just the washing of the hair, or is it taking a shower as well?
No, well, after in Chinese New Year's, the New Year's week, after the fifth day, from the first day to the fifth day, basically it's not washing your hair because you're actually washing away wealth. Okay, so that's part of the taboo in answering this question, is just maintaining wealth, maintaining order, structure, that you can have a continued prosperous year. So washing the hair, that's one of the reasons.
Same reason for not cutting the hair too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't ask me about the showers because I know nothing about that one.
Okay, we have multiple questions about where to get
Okay.
this delicious food that you've shown us. Is it easy to get in Chinatown?
Well, okay, wherever person, but basically, like the major centers in Canada, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Toronto, Montreal, usually have large Chinese communities, and that's the place to go to get all the different ingredients. What's really interesting, when you go to herbal medicine stores, some of the ingredients for herbal medicine has a crossover for culinary technique. So, and to me, when buying vegetables, I always go down to Chinatown because they have the best quality and also the best prices. So all sorts of different aspects of food, going down to Chinatown is much more meaningful when you cook. I'm getting far more hungry now. Keep on going, April.
Have Chinese New Year traditions changed as the Chinese immigrated?
Well, that's quite interesting because I think, being third generation, of course, it's been diluted to a certain extent. There are some resurgence of interest in Chinese customs. I think as generational goes, but a lot of newly arrived immigrants that come in, they still are somewhat afresh of all these traditions and customs. So it's, to me, I find there's a resurgence of all these customs being maintained, which I think it's great because that's a great education piece for especially those Chinese Canadians who are 6th or 7th or 8th generation, maintain heritage and roots.
Yeah, and it seems like I'm just thinking of the Chinatown parade that we have in Vancouver. There's groups from all different cultures. There's people doing, Brazilian dance in the street. There's
well, that's occurred just the past few years, that it became a diverse type of event. And indeed, they had a lot of different multicultural things. But gee, I wish we were, because of COVID, there hasn't been a parade for quite some time. And I kind of miss that because it's really funny. When you get to the parade, you see all these people, about 15 or 20,000 people standing, watching all the flags, watching all the groups, the line dance and everything. It was really quite a multicultural thing to see.
Yeah,
really proud about it. Really
yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. Yeah.
It really seems like a holiday that's expanding and welcoming, a lot more diversity. So
well, that's because it is. Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Let me get back to the audience questions. Okay, is it inappropriate or mean to give different amounts of money in the red packets to different kids in the family during Chinese New Year, like depending on age or their behavior, etc.? Question mark.
Well,
that's why you don't open the packet in front of people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But I think it's somewhat discretionary. I mean, I was a bad kid for a long time, but I still got a lot of money. So I really fooled a lot of my relatives. Okay. So, no, I think it's purely discretionary. I mean, my question is, my rhetorical question is, same family, all the kids, how can one give varying amounts to different kids? It should be somewhat uniform, but nevertheless, the kids, the children are getting their red package. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That's totally discretionary. Yeah.
In my family, it was equal, but dependent on age. So if you were really small, you would get a smaller amount because you probably don't have a bank account if you're under 10. But if you were like a teenager or in college, you could get a little bit more. The kids could get $5, maybe you'll get $10. So, but everybody was equal otherwise. So,
okay.
But I guess every family is different.
Well, I think different experiences, exactly, because my family, they just gave equal amounts, no matter if I was, at a younger age or a teen, whatever. So different circumstance.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see here. What is the symbolism of the firecrackers? Is it just to celebrate, or is it about warding off something?
Well, we're going back to the Nian beast. And once again, the Chinese found out that the beasts do not like the color red, and they're afraid of loud noises. So the firecracker origin was getting dry straw, and then they would light it up, and you hear that crackle, crackle, crackle. And that was to ward off the beast, Nian beast. So that is the firecracker. Am I answering the question properly or what?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely, yeah.
So that was the purpose of the firecracker, to ward off evil spirits.
So the louder the better, actually.
The louder the better. I remember in different cities like Honolulu and one time Vancouver or even Hong Kong, right at 12 midnight on New Year's Eve, you feel like it's World War. I mean, there's a war going on, but it's so exciting because you hear nothing but the thunderous roar of the firecrackers.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting several questions about the upside down prosperity character, particularly on my wall, because people can probably see it very clearly. But Bob also has it over his wall. I can answer this one, Bob, actually.
Will you please? Because if I said something, it'd be all like really fake stories. So April, if you can explain that for me, I would really appreciate it.
Okay, so in Cantonese is this word. It means prosperity. In Mandarin, fu, and then the word for upside down fu is fu dao. In Mandarin, anyway, and the upside down sounds like arrive. So it's like prosperity arriving. Fu dao,
Okay.
depending on the tone.
Okay.
Yeah, so you hang it upside down to make the prosperity arrive.
Thanks, April. I just learned something new. Thank you.
Oh, amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Great. I only know that because my mom she would always, make me do the decorations for our house, and she would always come and fix mine and say, no, you have to hang it upside down. So now everyone knows.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we have time for just a few more questions.
Okay.
Is there a difference between the North and Southern Chinese traditions? Or are these traditions the same for all of China?
I think there's basic tenets of Chinese tradition, which is extended throughout the whole country. But of course, there's going to be some tenets which are somewhat regional. Okay. And I think that's the way I can answer that, because I think that's the only way to answer it, because it's a basic philosophy, but people celebrate it different ways. Would you agree with me on that, April?
Oh yeah. And then if you think about the food traditions in China, so diverse, right? People in the North eat lots of different kinds of foods than people in the South, right? It's more noodles, for instance, more dumplings in the North, different kinds of dishes. I think there's so much variety. I think that most of the traditions that came into the Chinatowns in North America and around the world were mostly Cantonese, because the migrants were from that region, right? The Pearl River Delta area.
So all the customs from southern China, Guangdong, extended over here. That's during the gold rush, and also the first immigration, also for the building of the Canadian Pacific Railroad. It was mostly all Cantonese food.
Where is your family and your grandparents? Where are they from?
Well, as far as I know, that on the maternal side, my maternal grandfather, him and his family came to Victoria in the 1880s, and they set up a provisioning company. And because there was no Vancouver at the time, and that was the provisional stop for, let's say up to the Fraser Valley to the gold country, not pertain to the gold because way before, but they were provisioners, and they provided provisions for, let's say, for the Chinese miners up in Cumberland. So that's my maternal side. My paternal side is that my grandfather was an interpreter. He was a school teacher in Hong Kong. And he also spoke about 6 different languages and about 50 different dialects. So that indicated to me that he was perhaps come from a very well-to-do family. I could do more research on it because it's the missing piece that we want to do. My family and I want to do that missing piece. So that's my origin. So yeah, that's my family.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We do have a few concluding remarks to get to, so maybe we should wrap up the questions here. Would you like to share any concluding thoughts, Bob?
No, prompt me if you
Okay.
will. You know, I mean, I can say a whole lot of things, but I want to make it pertinent to facts. I can say one thing, and I'll say in Cantonese, I'm very proud to be Chinese Canadian. Now that's a fact no one can refute.
Thank you so much, Bob. It's so lovely to learn all of this from you. So I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to you, Bob, for sharing your stories and your wisdom with us today, and to the CSC marketing, programming, and logistics team for all the prep behind the scenes. It was a lot of work to put this together. We will be sharing recipe cards with everyone. That's what I wanted to mention. So some of the foods that Bob described, we have these amazing heritage recipes to share with everyone who signed up for the program. And so keep an eye out for those. We're going to be emailing those to everyone. And I'd like to invite everyone to support the Chinatown Storytelling Center. You know, we really do rely on community support to do the work we do. So please consider donating any amount or reaching out to us to volunteer to get involved. We really need community support to continue this work, sharing stories, keeping the memories alive, supporting heritage practices, and contributing to the revitalization of our beautiful Chinatown. You can follow us on social media for upcoming events. You can consider an annual membership if you'd like to come and visit us more often. And we would love to welcome you to the center. We are open Thursday to Monday, 10 to 5, and the tickets are available on site, or you can get timed entry tickets online at ChinatownStorytellingCenter.org. And please come by and visit Fu Hung Curios, our gift shop at the Storytelling Center, with a curated collection of books, stationery, and home goods. The proceeds from this, the shop and the center goes to supporting the programs and operations. So we would love to have you come by. And if you'd like to get in touch with Bob, we've posted his contact here on the slide here. So to everyone who came by today, I want to say happy Lunar New Year to you all. Gong hei fa choi, gong xi fa cai. Thank you, Bob. I hope you have a lovely Chinese New Year. And please
Thank you.
Send some pictures of food, and I will be joining your tour. So
Okay,
I'll be in
great.
touch.
Yeah, to you as well.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
This concludes our program. Thank you, everyone.